Hey, all my Taurus friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Terry Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your May 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I refer to Taurus and the wheel, it's Taurus rising. This is also applicable to Taurus sun, Taurus moon, and if you have a stellium, which is 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Taurus, this video is applicable to you. These videos are also based on the Pacific time zone. So if you are somewhere else in the world, please adjust for your location. I don't know how to make the wheel stay on Taurus as the first house. So I'm going to refer to the houses verbally. We see here on the very first day of the month, your first house is lit up. There's been a lot of activity going on with the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. We have experienced its exactness in the month of April, and now Jupiter is starting to move to the later degrees of your first house. We also see the Lordess, the lady of the home, is here in the form of Venus, as well as the sun. This is a very powerful placement for Venus as she is in her rulership. Over here in your 12th house, the 12th house represents the house that is behind you, the house of some things that maybe you can't see that are hidden. It's traditionally called the house of self-undoing or self-troubles. This is the sign of Aries. And we see that Mars has moved into its rulership. You have been experiencing the North Node in your 12th house, as well as Chiron, which has been there for quite some time. This has been giving you an opportunity to really look into your soul's ancestry and how you assert yourself within your own hopes and your own dreams and your sense of self. I want to focus on the fact that Mars here is in a very tight conjunction with Neptune. Neptune is in Pisces in your 11th house. And as this conversation has taken place, Mars has really been wanting to implement a more aware, a more present, meaning being in the present moment versus being in the history or the story of yesteryear, and to step into more of a creative or what you find to be a creative endeavor. This could be anything that you enjoy, anything that you find exercises your talents and your skills. The first day of the month sees Mercury's come out of retrograde and it's coming out of shadow now. It was retrograde and it went all the way back to the North Nodes. There were a lot of thoughts of history. There were a lot of thoughts of your lineage. There could be thoughts of not feeling seen or not feeling that your dreams are being met or the things that you want. The North Node is a ravenous point that we're stretching for, and the theme of Aries is the self, and asserting oneself. This could be anything from asserting yourself physically like an athlete or an adrenaline junkie or somebody who asserts themselves in the service to others. The 12th house would very often represent a service to others in the way of almost like a knighthood. And we also had a solar eclipse last month that was exact the Chiron. And at that time, it would have illuminated or it would have been planting the seeds for a balancing of some kind for you, Taurus, somewhere where you're taking your story, your history, who and what you have been and what others have expected of you, as well as your own skills, your talents, your voice, and learning and experiencing yourself expressing authentically, and without worry of how other people would respond. And I think that's very much what we see here in the conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter in your first house. Let's go to the second, because what we've been experiencing is Pluto is in Aquarius, and that is your 10th house of career. And it's been making an aspect, a favorable aspect to Neptune, and will continue to make a favorable aspect to Neptune in the form of a sextile. And now it is its co-lord Mars, because they both rule Scorpio, Pluto and Mars. They have a cooperative component. So here, this is a brave energy about really digging deep into any psychologies that have held me back in my career because I've been afraid of what the public will think or what my community will think, or the people that are important to me, what will they think about how I am asserting myself? And this would be also indicated by the square, exact square on the first day of the month to Venus. And Venus is your talents, it's your gifts, your voice, your money, it could be your relationships, but here we're focused on really an extension of the self, but the self in relation to how it has been nurtured throughout its childhood and how confident it feels and how supported it feels to express itself. And Pluto in the square would be really offering a liberation, but at the first, on the onset, it would be very jarring because Pluto is going to bring up a deep underbelly, a psychological imprint. And at the second degree, which Pluto is stationing at, basically, before it moves retrograde, it's been here for a while, is that Venusian Taurus degree. So we really are doubling down on how do you feel about your skills? How do you feel about your ability to birth yourself, make resources, feel confident in your interactions with other people, potentially people who could see you in a new way, in an innovative way, and birthing yourself in through technology in some way. And technology rules our everyday lives now. So this is not necessarily something to the future, but something that could be implemented today in the present. So let's go here to the second. Well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, I'm going to go to the second. Here, I'm going to pull us back in the chart because what we see is really a strong concentration of energy that's been going on since April in your 12th and your first house. And as we move forward, this first house is going to give you an opportunity to liberate yourself in business in some way. You could even be someone who's graduating from college, higher education of some kind, getting your master's. But bringing Venus into the mix as she moves towards Uranus and then ultimately meets up with Jupiter before the end of the month is really going to offer an expansion of how you see yourself and birthing your skills and your own individuality. And this is going to be further evidenced by Mercury continuing to bring awareness to your mind about your sense of self. And is your fear of people being angry with you, or do you have anger and resentment that you haven't expressed? And when I say expressed, it's not like you have to actually go talk to another human. This is something that may lay underneath that is inhibiting you from really taking a deep breath and leaning into your talents and your skills. We go then to, let's look at, we see on the 3rd, Neptune starts, it's at the anaretic degree here in Pisces. It's starting to tee up to move into Aries, but that still is not going to happen for about a year. We're going to see Neptune retrograde later this year. I can't remember the date. It's not too far off. And go back into Pisces. But here, this is a mastering of the thought process. This is the Leo degree. This 29 reduces down to an 11, which is the master number of thought. And I really think we're seeing this sort of way of looking at things from more the divine laws of the universe rather than being delusional or fanciful about hoping something will shift and it won't. I think this conversation that Mars had with Neptune was really about an initiation into the order of the Knights Templar, or an order of brave soldiers, an order of brave energies that are willing to understand the ebb and the flow of dark and light, how one serves the other. We are seeing a nice sextile between the sun and Saturn and the moon here. And this could be very much illuminating how, on some level, the moon could illuminate history here. It could also illuminate a sense of, it's funny because I don't, know that we can ever validate or confirm what we feel our past quote unquote lives have been. But sometimes we'll get these shadow feelings of something that feels repetitive. And here in your 11th house of Pisces, I feel like this is really offering you an opportunity of how you have, potentially you may have felt a sense of loss in the past about being able to move forward into your future. Again, the 11th house is always going to indicate some sort of innovation, some sort of breakthrough, some sort of lightning genius strike. It also represents my hopes and my dreams and the viability of that, the cosmic consciousness. And this gives me an opportunity with this sextile to really, through my patience and my ability to be tenacious, because I think Taurus is very steady and dependable, this would be an opportunity to start to shine your light out into the world. Okay, I kind of belabored that point a little bit, so forgive me there. Let's go over to the new moon in Taurus on the 7th. And this is going to take place at 8:21 Pacific time. A new moon is always where the sun and the moon come together in the dark of night to plant the seeds for something new to begin. And here we see that they're planting the seeds here at this Virgonian degree. Well, we could talk somewhat about enslavement and, service to others. I really think this has to do with your work, what you want to do, how you want to make your resources, how you want to birth yourself out into the world. I believe this is echoing the whatever energies are happening for you in your first house with this Jupiter and Uranus conjunction, Jupiter representing business and commerce and wealth and publishing and marketing and influencing people through the internet. And here we see Venus is in this house of Taurus as well. So we've got, 5 planets in this very first house of yours, just accentuating the potentials for a new beginning for you. We're also seeing that Jupiter is making a favorable aspect to Neptune here, and they both co-rule Pisces. So they're cooperative. And within this sextile, it almost feels as if there is we could double down on the religious dynamic and the philosophies and the broadening of, foreign people, foreign places, foreign things. But here, this feels like a deep awareness of the broadness of the universe and of how the universe rolls and of how, here's Uranus representing the universe and us being more in touch with that there is more out there that what can see with our eyes and you can't see in the darkness of a new moon. So I think this is really powerful. And I think it's planting the seeds for a very deep transformation. Again, Aquarius is your 10th house, Taurus. So this could very much, birth you into a career or into something, even a new relationship potential, because the 10th house represents public status. So when you go from single to married, or from married to divorce, or from childless to having a child, this is all public status change as well. So it could be any of those things. Let's go on to, let me turn over my page, excuse me. I want to go into the 13th. I think that's going to be an interesting day because we'll see some strong energies here with Venus coming into a conjunction with the Sun and Uranus, which are in conjunction. This is very much a liberation of how you perceive yourself in the outside world and how you assert yourself in the outside world. This is at the 23rd degree, which is the Aquarius degree, the Uranian degree. Again, I believe this is using your skills to birth something out into the world that could potentially bring you resources and money. We see that Jupiter is getting to the last degrees of Taurus, so you will feel even, I think, depending upon the degree of your sun or your rising, you will feel a philosophical change, like as if your own philosophies have moved into foreign territory about what you believe, and there could be truly a stronger sense of wanting to be brave about birthing a new sense of yourself out into your community. Gemini is your 12th, I'm sorry. Gemini is your second house, Taurus. And when we look at the second house, we're looking at a house of money and skills. And what do you naturally rule? The second house of money and skills. So while Jupiter is not considered in good energy in Gemini, it's considered in detriment. I have to think that this is really an opportunity to expand yourself within your everyday world, and doing so by being brave through this liberation that you've experienced in your first house. And as you sort of look at your potential fears, or have an awareness of your patterns, meaning the patterns of not being seen, or tucking under something, or letting, frustration, anger, resentment pull you into a paralysis, essentially, is what I want to say. So I think this is a powerful day, and I think it's a powerful energy for you. And if your birthday is anywhere, near this degree, if your birthday happens to be on the 13th, this is a powerful day for you. Your awareness of this, and your I almost want to say it's setting some kind of an intention ahead of time. And I think this intention should be broad and expansive and not be too detailed, because the detail could be coming from your eyes instead of your heart. So I think that's important, Taurus. Okay, we're going to see Mercury enter Taurus on the 15th. And, here now we really do have a strong lot of planets here in your first house. Really, how are you interacting with not only your workmates, your teammates, your neighborhood, but your siblings, your cousins, and also this sort of really starting to, I think this could potentially be a planning and a processing, or an analysis, or creating some sort of, I kind of hear I'm feeling sixth house stuff. That new moon was at the Virgo degree, and now you could be starting to put in some sort of framework in your everyday life. Let's say you're starting to post content every day, and you're feeling better and better about the content that you're producing, because you're starting to hear your voice, feel your voice. And that's bringing you into a place of being more brave and expansive overall. Let's go now to the 20th. Now, on this day, we see that the sun has moved into Gemini. We see that Pluto is making a very, very favorable aspect to Venus, to Jupiter, and to the sun. This is all, Venus is probably the least potent. We've got a little bit of a wide orb here, but at the same time, this is an assimilation and an expansion of what I've been processing, Venus, as I was going through Pisces and having a summit with Saturn, and then moving into a house of individuality, and then the house that I rule, that governs my skills, my voice, my own craftsmanship, my own eye for beauty, my own talents for design. Here, I can birth those things out into the world. Now we have a quick little challenge here with the moon down here, but this is just a brief moment. It could be a moment of trepidation, but this is where, you get to sort of really look at how brave are you willing to be, and how much do you let what you project into the future thwart you from what you want for tomorrow. Let's look at the full moon that's going to happen in the sign of Sagittarius. This is on the 23rd, and it will be at 6:53 a.m. Pacific time. Now, this is really an interesting moon, because we see that here's the sun and the moon in opposition, illuminating something that we didn't see before. And I think it very much has to do with that, with a mercurial way of our life. Like, we've been so caught up in our everyday lives, running our kids around, taking care of our errands, taking care of, getting those emails out, those communications. The human daily existence is really driven by quote unquote productivity. And here we see an exact trine from the sun to Pluto. And then we see Pluto making a sextile to the moon. Now, again, Aquarius is your 10th house. And while it naturally sort of squares you, you have an opportunity here now, because the sun is in Gemini, to take advantage of this harmonious energy and implement a new structure through an awareness that you've had, through some awareness that actually allows you to move emotionally into foreign territory. Now, Sagittarius is your eighth house of transformation, of other people's money. So this could very much echo an expansion of clients, of people who, use your services, your talents, your skills, your analytical mind, whatever your gifts are. This is a real opportunity to see yourself through this illumination in a new light. Let's go now to where Venus will join the sun in just a few hours. So let's go to the 24th, where she's entered Gemini. Now, she's experiencing this trine. She's experiencing this trine to Pluto, who's now moved into that first degree. It's just tipped its toe into the first degree, but that degree is very much that brave degree, that Aries degree, and we're still feeling this trine. So we've got the trine now is in play is Jupiter, Venus, and Mars. I'm sorry, Mars and the sun. So these three planets, by my self-assertion, my trust in my gifts, my willingness to birth a bigger version of myself, I could experience something completely new. And I want to offer it this way. Just because Pluto is retrograding does not mean, because this feels like an interior job, a self-confidence job, an emotional job. And that means, so when I go back into Capricorn, which rules my ninth house of beliefs, I will be able to deconstruct the beliefs that don't serve my forward movement. That's the beauty of this whole dynamic and the beauty of Pluto. It really wants to get the muck out of the way. It wants to clean out the plumbing, remove the toxic waste. Now we'll see on June 25th, a big change. And I'll be doing another video. I'm sorry, did I say June? I meant to say May 25th, excuse me. Got ahead of myself. Let's go to 12 p.m. We'll see that, oh, Jupiter hasn't quite done that yet. Let's go later in the day. Let's try 8 p.m. Jupiter will move into Gemini. There we go. Now, this is a very significant energy change, because we go from an expansive way of looking at our skills and realigning our philosophies about who and what we are and how we feel about ourselves. Again, you kind of have a double down, Taurus, because your first house is the house of your skills and your money. Your first house is who you are. And now, as Jupiter moves into your second house and Venus is there, and she'll move fairly quickly, as will the sun, but you're going to experience Jupiter until June 9th, 2025. You will have Jupiter expanding your ability to teach, to speak, to interact with a team and be a leader within a team, to be a wise one, a sage. The Jupiter rules the shaman, rules, this expansive thought. And that's why I think the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is very complementary, because it's really rewriting our beliefs into a new version of ourselves. And that version for me is Pluto's entry into Aquarius, is that we are going to start to realize that our thoughts are things and they manifest. And in a way that if we are aware of them, we can start to drive much more clearly and with much more intention, but also with more prowess, understanding that when we go through a challenge, that challenge is somehow honing us in some way, fine-tuning us, sharpening the blade that is our mind. So this is super, super powerful. And I think it's something that for you gives you an opportunity to expand your worth literally to your community. Now let's go back to 12 p.m. and go to about a few days later, towards the end of the month. We'll go to the 31st. And here we'll see, Venus and the sun are together. We have Mercury and Uranus in a conjunction. This started happening around the 29th and continued on. Now, Mercury is what they consider the lower octave of of Uranus. Uranus is genius. Mercury is information, everyday details. And Mercury is about to move into its rulership and join expansive Jupiter. So these two are going to start to summit about how we can balance the broad concepts of life and also pay attention to the details as Taurus itself steadily broadens its second house energy, implementing your skills, implementing your talents, implementing your gifts, and through the energy of joy. That's another very powerful dynamic here. And I just kind of want to, if we look here, we see that we have a nice, again, we still are experiencing these planets making favorable aspects to Pluto. So we're revisiting something, we're re-engaging, reviewing, maybe even resting, taking a little time to go into maybe deeper meditations about not where you've been and what your problems are, but maybe what you can be and what you haven't experienced just yet in your life. Okay. So it's very powerful. The focus this spring is very much on Taurus and Aries energy, and it's setting up sort of the groundwork, the platform, the foundation for what will move forward, not only this year, but in the years to come as we experience Pluto deepening into the sign of the future. Meaning getting deeper and deeper into the degrees of it. It's going to be very, I don't even know, I can't even imagine how much life will change. All right, Taurus, thank you so much for joining me. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and come back and check out the weekly videos. If you want, you can join me live on Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.